Let's check how Ruby Life Pulse works. So there are not so many difficult things on the trash before the first boss. There are a few mobs you need to take care of. There are a lot of Earth Shapers. There are casting Tectonic Slam. You cannot interrupt that, you need to CC that, so just knockbacks, stuns, Dragon's Breath and stuff like that, grips from Death Knight. And you want to cancel that because it's casting alone, you have lots of time to do it and it's dealing damage for everybody in the group. Usually when people are dying on these packs, this is what is doing, that Tectonic Slam. So just take care of it. There's a second type of mobs. There are casters. Ice Bolt you can interrupt, you should, but there's no problem, it's not hitting that hard. Important here is Ice Shield, because it's shielding a lot, and it's just wasting so much time when you just need to damage that Ice Shield. So make sure you interrupt Ice Shield. And from the other guys, there are just these three big ones. We like to skip that two Juggernauts, and obviously you are killing that because he goes there's almost no way to skip that guy. And so for these big guys, there's not much to do, just tank hit. This is dealing quite damage. Your tank should be aware this is coming and use some defensive or just be ready for that hit. And from the other big guy, it's just charge. So he will just change direction when he is looking and he is charging forward. So make sure you will dodge that ability. The second one is hitting the tank, and every hit that will land on the tank, it's spawning one circle on the ground, and you definitely need to dodge that because it's just destroying you. It's usually just one AoE, one kill. So make sure you will dodge that. And otherwise there are some more abilities, but just look under your feet and move away from damage. They're no big deal. That's classic World of Warcraft. You will see ability, move away. But then you're fighting first boss. On the first boss, most mistakes people are doing is just baiting wrong these mines on the ground. What are people usually doing? They are just standing on random spots, and the worst part is when you're standing exactly on place when group is expected to move after they bait the bombs, after bombs spawned. So if you are standing in front of the direction group is moving after the bombs, you are just blocking everybody. Everybody is annoyed. Some people might die if they just don't watch. So make some system after placing bombs. I think best idea is to just stack together on one spot, but you can do some other styles. Just make some system, don't do random places because everywhere will be just mess. And then other thing with the small dragons, when they are spawned, don't rush towards them, let them come. Because when you rush, it's usually just messy for whole group when everybody can move, some classes cannot wall that fast, and there's absolutely no point to start fighting him. These little dragons 2 seconds sooner, 3 seconds sooner, just for your overall damage or whatever, doesn't matter because priority is shield on the boss. Small dragons are really not priority to kill them as soon as possible. Of course, it's better when they are dead, but usually tank can survive them with ease. Another thing with the storm, here we baited it too close, and it's not really nice because you want to bait it a little bit forward, farther from the group, so ranged actually can cast spells for healers, and so they can just cast and slide towards the storm and not be in that damage area, double damage area. So it's better to put it further away, and otherwise for healers you need to pop some healing cooldown on the shield because that boss got nerfed by a lot. So the storm damage got nerfed. Now most damage is coming from shield, and shield is also nerfed, so just pop some cooldowns for shield and then we are alright. After that you are just continuing up, and you should be ready after boss maybe with some cooldowns because you didn't use it on last 10 seconds of boss or something like that. If you don't have cooldowns, go to the right and kill just Patrol. Just kill Patrol, maybe if you are a big boy, kill Patrol with a peg, but not recommended. And if you have some cooldowns and you are ready for something more juicy, just go kill the Stormy Dragon. Of course, depending on your route, but you can skip it. It's not that easy. So let's check on the Stormy Dragon. Few things you need to pay attention. Of course, there's breath, frontal, everybody need to dodge. I think everybody know that because you will die from that quite easily. Tank need to check from Thunderjaw, and it's big knockback that's usually not killing you, but it's huge damage, so just use defensive. You can see how disgusting that, use defensive as tank. Then continue. The one special, unique for this boss, it's that but sometimes it's feeling like boss, is that Rolling Thunder buff, debuff for you. It's always targeting 2 people, and it's dealing some damage when it's on target, but mostly it's exploding 100 yards, so there's no way you can range that. So you're definitely getting damage from that. So you need to overheal it, and if on hierarchy you cannot drop both at the same time, so mass dispel is not an option, or somebody can use immunity. When you dispel the other guy, it's usually some people will die when you use this same time. So you want to dispel one target and let the other dot just expire. It's just a few seconds. How long? It's for 8 seconds. So you dispel one dot as a healer, and then you heal your party, and then next dot is exploding. Of course, people should use defensive, but as usually on every damage you should do defensive. Okay, and there are 3 types of rat around. You need to kill 4 big ads. On the big ads, they are casting the Living Bomb. You definitely notice that is circle around the target, and you want to put that on the pack because it's doing damage to enemies, also to you, but also to enemies, and it's knocking enemies up. The enemies are casting quite often and fast, so it's nice to have another CC, but if you don't have opportunity, just don't clip other players for a reason to knock up pack. If you have opportunity to put it on enemy, do it, but don't force it. If people are standing and they're not moving away, just move away. So we are not dealing the damage to your friendlies, your team. So there are 4 these ads, and their other ability is same ability is casting that ad on the boss. So that ability is Inferno. It's a huge explosion, and it also have range 100 yards, so you are not gonna hide from it. So it's a big explosion, and after that is sticking damage. So you need to pop some good heal there, depending on how high is your key. And from the other 2 types of ads are here, there are Cinderweaver. What is important to this guy is Cinderbolt. They are casting it a lot. It's survivable, but you don't want to get 2 in a row, or you don't want to get Cinderbolt with Living Bomb and like explosion from big ads, so it can be nasty. And just something happen together at the same time, so just kick when you can, CC interrupt, make sure they are not casting. They cast here and there, but try as much as you can. And the other type of ads are the Flame Dancer. So these guys are quite nasty, and you're doing nothing. It wouldn't be the first time I seen tank died from Flame Dance. It's basically not doing much, and after that it's big boom. And that big boom is to the tank, to the single target. But it is a lot. And when are 2 dancing together, tank is gone. And you cannot interrupt this, you need to CC them. So again, stuns, grips, just daze, dragon breath, grips. Also some sneaky things about them. There are Blaze of Glory, so before they die, they start just rotating and pooping stuff on the ground. It's shield. So if you have mage or shaman or anything that can dispel magic debuff from enemy, just use it and it's insta-kill. Otherwise you need to wait 8 seconds, and that poo on the ground is hitting a lot, and you want to cast, and you can just run. He will die after 8 seconds, or you can blast shield. When you kill when you do enough damage to that shield, he will just die. So for the red dragon, you want to skip it. It's not that hard as with the lightning dragon, because that red dragon is always just moving here and there. Lightning should be too, but I'm not sure. We're usually just killing them when we came up. So for the red dragon, he is landing like over here, and then between these big packs and the first position where the patrol is going. So try to evade, but let's talk about him first. Maybe you want to kill him, so let's check him. Of course, he's doing blasting his fire breath in front of him. Dodge that. There's no big deal. What you need to focus here is he's not dealing AoE damage until his health is 50%. So as damager, just keep your cooldowns, and you really want cooldowns for this ad. Keep your cooldowns and wait for 50% of his health. Then he starts stacking debuffs basically buff on him, and that buff is dealing AoE damage to your group. It's stacking to 10. 10 is maximum, so when that enemy have 10 stacks, this dragon, it's maximum damage, but it's hitting a lot. So be sure to pop your cooldowns of 50%, not on 100, because from 100 it's just not doing that damage. It's starting on 50 to take these stacks on him. And of course it's doing tank ability, just biting him. Be the fire hammam. And well, for the dodging this, or rather skipping this red dragon, you came from the other two packs. You are in where red dragon is. He's not usually waiting there, but if it is, just wait some time, and then you go on first pack with a Flamey Boy, and you need to move over here. You just need like on the stairs on the side, because dragon is, this area is very dangerous to stand in. So when the ranger is staring, just when you came, they will pull, or they are just standing on the little spot here or somewhere. It's too close to dragon. Your whole group will need to stack, like ideally on the stairs or around the stairs, just together, and then dragon just easily fly around. It's possible to pull him when, I don't know, you are jumping up and some abilities maybe disengage from hunter or something. It's happening, it's never heard of, but if you mistakenly aggro it, just try to die and don't aggro it on group. If you just die instantly from the dragon on the side, maybe you forgot to move, you try to die like just you, so your group don't have aggro from the dragon. Because when you are usually fighting the pack and dragon came, it's most of the time is 5 on hierarchies, so try to die for our team. And obviously when you're just continuing forward, the dragon will land here, so just wait for him to go back or start flying, and you also need to move on this spot, just on the side, because dragon can just land and pull it from this position. On second boss, most important thing is positioning of your group. It's really important because you have two spells that are always targeting on some random group member, not really random. The add is spawning always on ranged. If you don't have somebody on range, is spawning under the boss on some random target. And the boulder. Why it's so important? Because an enemy or boss use ability, you leave poop on the ground, it's fire ground, and if you are leaving fire ground in the direction you are moving with whole boss and the whole group, it's just messy, because that fire ground is hitting a lot when you are just walking through it. So there's 3 basic ability on that boss. So obvious one is the spawning ad. So you want to bait it really nicely with ranged, or just bait it under the boss. It's so easy to just bait it under the boss, because when you bait it like behind some circles with fire and merely need to run through the fire and stuff like that, it's just messy. So don't bait it on some corners or the room, on some small spots, just open space. Be sure you have a lot of space to dodge Molten Powder, because boss is cast after he summon ad, he is casting Molten Powder after that, so be sure. And for abilities of that ad, he is casting immediately Inferno, and you cannot interrupt that. Is that the first cast the ad is doing, and it's just explosion and the healing dot. It's same like these 4 elementals you need to kill to start killing this boss. So just some healing cooldowns and defensive if you have. And the second thing on ad is he's casting just interrupt it. You should. It's hurting a lot. Just interrupt it. It's not a lot. 2 DPS can manage that, or DPS and tank and or whatever. And of course when killing ad is exploding, that's no big brainer. And there's also ability for tank. Searing Blows is doing lots of damage. So just make sure you are checking when this is cast from boss. So don't turn around tank with your back, because it will absolutely destroy you. And why I'm saying that, because it's very often overlapping when you are killing the ad and boss is doing this ability. So you are with tank, you are just running away from that explosion circle, and boss is hitting you, and you need to be really careful and use some big defensive, or just be ready for that. So we are expecting the damage, because if you are not expecting this to do damage, it will just erase you. And for the last ability is Molten Powder, and that's another reason why it's positioning so important on this boss. So we got Ad. Is also when Ad dies, there's big explosion, everything is fire ground. You want to move in this encounter anti-clockwise, because when you move clockwise, most people will skip that red dragon. And so that red dragon is on that direction on clockwise, so you want to go opposite. And for Molten Baldrons, you always want to bait it on the side, or towards the already existing fire on the ground. Definitely not in the way you are just moving whole group, in the direction you are just backstabbing or just moving whole fight. Because when the boulders finish rolling, it's a huge explosion, a huge AoE with burning ground, and it's really hard to pass by. So just try to bait it non-stop. It's casting twice per one Ad spawn. It's usually boulder, Ad will spawn, will be boulder, and Ad will explode, then will be under boulder, then Ad will spawn. So when you see boulder will be ready, you should have some DBM or whatever, just stand on the side of the boss and bait it to the wall. And be careful to not be so close to the wall or just run away really fast, because when boulder hit the wall, it's exploding immediately. A huge AoE, and it's just one-tapping people without any problem. Bait boulders on the side, bait Ads nicely in open space, and one extra thing on the Ad, you should kill it before second cast of Inferno. Its survival is not that bad. We did it. I healed it without problem, but you don't want to. So you don't need to focus Ad that much, but kill it before second cast of Inferno, because you cannot interrupt that, and it's nice to don't have double AoE, huge AoE damage to your group or healer. So that's for second boss, and let's go on trash before third one. Some people are skipping Breach, let's not bother with that. It's not that bad to just play at Breach. Small Ads, don't worry, there's one big caster Ad, is Tempest Channeler. It's casting some Thunderbolt, just interrupt that if you can. It's not one-tapping, it can go through, but it's still better to interrupt. And it's casting Lightning Storm. It's AoE to group. On hierarchy, you need to put some defensive and healing CDs, so be careful when he's casting Lightning Storm. Just to help your healer, or just use something when you are a healer. And for the other packs, first pack is the simplest one. There's a new guy that's called Flame Channeler, and his ability is Flash Fire. You need to interrupt this at all cost. Almost no one can survive this without some immunity or absolutely huge defensive and spot healing from healer. And he's doing, of course, AoE. Just no need to explain what this is doing. You will interrupt this. You don't need to play this ability. So you don't need to know what he's doing. It's killing people. Interrupt it at all costs. And then on the second pack, there's the same thing, but there's Stormy Girl from the bridge. It's Lightning Storm, Thunderbolt, and of course the Flame Channeler with same ability, Flash Fire, you need to interrupt. So there's Flash Fire and Lightning Storm, obviously. During all these packs, there are some, like, these filler guys. There's nothing special about them, they're just doing damage 5 yards. And what's more important, that damage is not so high. More important is they are decreasing haste by 10%. So if you are melee, or for some reason you are standing exactly in the pack with ranged, just make sure you are 5 yards from these guys, because they're just doing AoE damage 5 yards is not much. It's easy. Rogue can definitely be further away than 5 yards from enemies, so shouldn't be that hard to avoid. And the last pack is the little big guy with a storm, and of course same ability, Lightning Storm. And what is special for this guy is the Tempest Storm Shield. And what this ability is doing, he's making barrier for himself, and it defaults some barrier, but he's also eating every single shield from these little guys, these little storms, and he's eating their shield, so he'll get it. And what is problem there? Because it's not only he will get that shield, so you need to damage that shield. Problem is, when he finish casting that ability, it will explode, and that explosion will do as much damage as much shield he has. So when you leave 600 shield on him, because it didn't manage to damage it, it will be explosion 600,000 damage to every single group member. And that's quite not really survivable by any normal means, immunities of course. And he's also casting, before he's eating shields, he's casting small little guys with shields. So you need to focus it with AoE damage, or somebody like Mage, Shaman, Demon Hunter can eat the shields, or Battle with Arcane Torrent. So make sure they don't have shields when he's casting this ability, because it's so hard to destroy that shield on single target when you didn't manage to shield on multiple targets. And that's it for the boss. And don't forget for the small guys that are around the room, you want to kill all of them, because you want to have clear area for last boss. I definitely don't want to kill multiple ads killing boss. It's not that so hard to manage this ad with the boss, but it can be messy, and if the ad is jumping on wrong spot and people are just not watching under their feet, it's just one shot from that ad when they are dying, but just they are charging on some spot, then exploding, as a potion is hurting a lot. And so let's get for the last boss. And sorry, let's check for these ads. Be sure you are not chain pulling it into last ad. Just pull it to 2 previous packs. Why? Because this big boy is eating shields. So if you time it wrong, you will pull these little ads. You don't have time to damage their shields because they are just running towards you, and he will eat their shields. Now he got a lot of shields, and somebody will die. I think I did it once on like 15-16 key, and we just died because there was few 100,000 shields left on this big guy. So I finished it with tank, but everybody else died. Just that was too much explosion damage. And let's get to the last. So really not favorite fight for most people. What is nasty here is Dragon Speed. It's flying speed and it's dealing a lot of damage. And not only a lot of damage, it's leaving poop on the ground. Fire patch, not poop, but yeah, same thing. And that fire is not only damage when you move through it, but you will also get another speed. So we're just spreading more fire when we're getting to fire, and it's doing loads of damage to single target. It's quite hard to heal on hierarchies, very hard to heal. Just need to pump single target. And what's the tactic there? You want to focus Dragon, because he's doing most damage for your party. The other boss is definitely not killing you. So for the Dragon, and it's also less health. It's around 3 millions on plus 20, so it's much better to focus Dragon because he is much worse for your group to survive and he has less health. So how to kill Dragon, because he's flying all around? You need to tank it between these 2 pillars that are in the back of the room, and you came through the bridge. And while you are tanking there, you want to be just in the middle. And when somebody gets speed, just poop it in another middle outside of pillars. Why? Because when you are there, a whole group need to be there, not just tank. So ranged need to also stand there. Why? Because then Dragon is always landing on their group. He's not just flying around and landing on random spot that nobody have range and it's too far for melee to switch and stuff like that. When you are targeting here, nicely in the between, Dragon will just land on you, just start spitting. Everybody can easily dodge because they are so close, and everybody can cleave 2 bosses. You have 2 targets, of course you are focusing Dragon. Is when one of them drop below 50% of health, just the rider is going back on the Dragon, and they are doing just better combo of abilities. So the fire speed is not 1 target, it's 3 targets, and that is so hard to survive, and it's mess everywhere in the room. So it's really important there to kill that Dragon as soon as possible and be ready for that change with a 50% health. The best thing how to do it is, of course, you are keeping Bloodlust, you are not putting it on start, and when Dragon have like 52-51%, you will stop his damage to him and you wait for him to land. When he landed, there's Blast, Bloodlust and all your cooldowns. Why? Because he won't, like the phase won't switch before Dragon won't get up. So he will just blast the frontal, and you can do 3%. Like, I don't know how many percentage you can get, but depend by number and your damage. But it's 3 damage to Dragon below 50% without them to be together. So after he will stop his frontal, he will fly up, then they are switching the phase, so Rider is going on the Dragon. There, you need to kill him as fast as possible, just your Bloodlust is still running, because definitely the new use 40%, 40 seconds of the Bloodlust is usually used just like 15 before this change sleep. And definitely we are using defensive, definitely we are using healing cooldowns when the Dragon is spitting on 3 targets. It's very good to just, I don't know, yeah, just some immunities, it doesn't matter. Just survive at all cost and finish that dragon. And after you finish dragon, that other boss is doing his normal stuff. It's hitting tank for some damage, and that's it. It's basically nothing. So you are GG if you kill dragon. And what to do with speeds, there's a lot of people that are putting it on the sides of the room, and it's not bad, but it's really not good. Of course, if the wind is blowing this stuff on the side away from you, it's perfect. But when you have on both sides and wind's not blowing from, like, let's say from up to down, like, you are trapped in the middle because you cannot go here because you will fall down, and there are a lot of AoEs that are moving towards you. So nice thing to do is exactly just put everything in the middle so we can move around the room. And when it's in the middle, your group won't be split because it's happening so fast, and you can run around, and you have always place to run around these spots. And when it's wind blowing from one side, it doesn't matter because you have space on the other side, and you can always dodge it. But if you poop everywhere around you and you won't leave spot you need to run through, you need to run through fire, and you will get another AoE and you poop another fire ground. So just don't do it. So that's everything for a bit. If you want to see whole run of us running this key, I will link +20 Tyrannical and also 45 in time under the video if you want to check whole run. I wasn't streaming it, so it's without sound. So check that if you want to see whole run, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.